We were collateral damage of the worst kind. We were the dancing dogs and the showgirls that were brought in at Christmas as the tinsel and tossed out when there became a problem. Suddenly and unexpectedly, when I was 18 years old, my father died in the middle of the night at the age of 54 as he lay beside my mother. And at that point, my life changed. My father, having been in the entertainment community, knew lots of people. And he knew Johnny Grant, and this was in the 70s. And Johnny at that time had made several trips back and forth to Vietnam during Christmas. And I called him and asked him if he had all the girls that he was taking. I mean, it just sounded so positive and romantic and a nice thing to do for the military boys during the holiday. Our group, which was a handshaking group of 4 women, Johnny and an escort officer in the Army, we traveled very small, very fast, very down and dirty. We would load in a helicopter, a Huey's, the kind where the doors were open on the sides. We would sit front and back, and there would be a gunner with us, and off we would go. The very first time we did that ride, and I realized that everyone had guns and there were no doors being closed, and we were going off to jungles and military facilities. The reality hit home. We went to the fire bases, which were the farthest places, the most remote, on tops of the mountains, on the edge of the jungles. They had had our promo publicity photos prior to our arriving, and most of those boys had pretty much picked out which of the girls they had a favorite and wanted to spend time with. Your heart just broke. You would see men in uniforms with guns who were my age, who had already gone out and killed people. This was their duty, but they were boys. They were children. They wanted to know, how are things? What's going on? Do you think I'm coming home? My heart broke for everybody. They had themselves so isolated that they completely detached themselves from where they were. They considered themselves in hell. The very first time you hear a bullet whiz by an open-doored helicopter, it's very scary, very scary. But we would always make sure that we were telling jokes. Johnny was excellent that way. He always did some kind of ridiculous joke to take the pressure off, and then we were back on duty. We were there for the boys. That was our job. And when we landed, our faces came on. I think that we made a lot of people really very, very happy. When I returned from Vietnam in December of 1970, I resumed my college education, and I graduated with my bachelor's degree in journalism and a bachelor's degree also in radio, television, film production. My professional name was getting established, and I was definitely going up. I met a wonderful man, and we were married in 1986. And then in 1990, I started not feeling well. On Friday the 13th, I had a 10-hour surgery. My tumor was approximately 8 pounds. They gave me about an 85 to 95% chance of not making the first year. I was terrified. You are no longer who you were, nor will you ever be. I have a friend of mine who's in the hospice field. She called me one day and she said, Lesli, I met a guy who has a liposarcoma, and he's dying. And it turns out he was in Vietnam and exposed to Agent Orange. So I went online and I find out that the particular cancer I have, which is a soft tissue sarcoma, was one of the very first Veteran Administration's presumptive diseases caused by Agent Orange. The more I did research and the more I did reading and the more I checked where I had been in country, I had found that some of the areas that we had stayed 2-3 days were some of the most exposed, sprayed areas. What we were exposed to is exactly what the soldiers were exposed to at the time. It had been my thinking that I would be taken care of in the same manner as all the other Americans who had been exposed and had a problem. Well, this was not the case. The only people that have been able to qualify for any of the exposure have been veterans under the Department of Army. I might not have had a uniform on, but I was indeed there and have suffered. One of the activities that I do every weekend is that I prepare and sort my pills for the coming week. It's a routine that I have done for the past 20+ years. I take, at this point, 11 prescription medications every day. I have to have medical insurance. For many of the past years now, as we struggle financially, the first choice and the first requirement of what money we have goes to the insurance. We have paid close to $800,000 out of our own pocket cash. We had to declare bankruptcy. And for us, this has been horrible because we are people that have paid our share, our bills, never asked for anything. It's very, very frightening to not know where I'm going to be able to afford my meds or whether I can afford my insurance premium. It's just very, very difficult, and it seems to me that this would be the time that I should be able to get the help that I need from the government. I was there for them. I would like to have hoped that they would be here for me now. Today I'm going to go to the FedEx and do the resubmission of the submission of the third round of packages that I have sent to the Department of Labor on my workman's compensation for Agent Orange exposure and the 3 cancers that followed. I only want what I feel is right and just and equal to all the other people that were there who suffer. We need help. Things have to be changed. If there isn't something put in place now, let's put it in place for the next group of people. Maybe it's too late for me. I hope not. But let's put something in place for all those that give, that need.